Hi, my name is Nazia Khan. Welcome to the Transformation Lab DXB podcast, powered by Gym Nation. Get ready for an exciting deep dive into the stories of our incredible guests as they share how they transform their lives by turning their toughest setbacks into epic comebacks. This is where inspiration meets action. James, welcome to the Transformation Lab DXB podcast, powered by Gym Nation. Great to have you on the show today. Before we kick off, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I don't mean age, which school you went to, but you know what I mean, a little bio.
Everything about me will be here. So I own a gym in London. Yeah. I live out here in Dubai. What do I even call myself? I suppose I'm a business owner, right, with the main thing.
Yeah. What is the name of the gym?
It's called BTX.
What does that stand for?
Body Transformation, and X is basically, it was Body Transformation London, but then BTX, because X means anything. So basically, if we want to open up, which we will open up a few, we've got a few in the pipeline. Yeah. You can open up anywhere in the world. Body Transformation X.
Okay, yeah. I like that. So X is your transformation.
Yes. Too popular. We're in a gym. That's the thing. Literally.
We're in a gym. Yeah, everyone just waves as they pass, you know? Yes. Okay, so talk to us about how did you get into fitness? Was it part of childhood? Did it come later in life? Talk to us about how you ended up forming BTX. How did that come about?
It's a really good question. So I came from a family of two dentists. Both my parents are dentists. My mum's side, actually, every single person in the family is a dentist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, literally.
You have good teeth?
They're okay. Hopefully you can't see them. No, they're okay. I drink too much coffee. Yeah, they probably get whitened again. But so my mum's side, literally her brother, her father, so my granddad, and all my three cousins are dentists. And there's one investment banker, and that's it, literally. But that's it. So all of them are dentists. So for me,
you didn't want to be a dentist?
No, not at all. So the thing is, look, I had it's a good job. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But you know what people are like? Whatever you see your parents do, you kind of want to do the opposite a lot of the time, right? So I basically did the normal thing. Went to a good school. Was relatively academic at school. Did well in my A-levels. Went to King's College London to study biomedical sciences. I switched to a nutrition degree. It was actually the same thing in the end. It's the same common first year. It was the same thing. It was basically biochem. And then after that, I didn't want to go basically into corporate world. It didn't suit me, my personality traits. And if it did, I just did not want to work in an office. And a lot of personal trainers say they didn't want to. I'll be very, very blunt here. A lot of people, they don't just not want to, they couldn't. That's the thing. I generally was going down that path. And when I actually started my biomedical science degree to go into investment banking, just do a good degree and then go and work in the city.
Because in the city, you can be a little bit of a rebel, no? A wolf of Wall Street.
Of course you can. Yeah, of course you can. Like a proper extrovert. And I kind of was thinking about doing that. But actually, I was passionate about fitness. So I started training in the gym, like most kids, when I was 15 to get strong for rugby. Started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 14 or 15 and loved it. It just improved every single aspect of my life. And you know what it's like yourself. It made me more confident. Yeah. It gave me discipline. You can't blame somebody else for a lack of fitness as much as people want to. You're responsible for the way you look, no matter what people say. A physique on how you look tells you everything about a person.
I 100% agree with that and echo that sentiment. But I think for a lot of people, I'm going to pick up on a point here. We are responsible for our fitness. A lot of people, I don't think they realize they're responsible for driving their life because there's a lot of blame. You know, I can't move because I'm too busy at work. Mm-hmm. I can't go for a walk because. What's your view on that? Because you talk about it's our role, it's our responsibility to move.
I have a very strong view on that. The thing is, whatever happens in life, it's not necessarily your fault, but it's your responsibility. Mm-hmm. So part of being an adult is things are going to be bad. Bad things are going to happen. The level of bad is a bit of luck sometimes. It is. People say it's not. It is a lot of luck. Terrible things can happen to good people. Mm. However, that has happened now. It's your responsibility to take action. Mm. You can sit there and moan and complain about it, but the truth is that's happened now.
Yeah.
And the thing is with your health and fitness, if something very serious happens, saying you don't have time is not true. It is not true. We're not talking about being a bodybuilding champion or a professional athlete. To be in decent shape for a man having no belly, for women having some sort of muscle tone, you do not need to be in the gym all the time.
And also, should the bad things happen, and they will, it's life where it's full of ups and downs. Do you believe that when you have a strong body, that builds resilience, obviously, the discipline, it equips us to handle our downfalls in life better?
It absolutely does. So it was actually on Andrew Huberman's podcast. I'm sure you watch his stuff. And he had a guy, I can't remember who it was, a psychiatrist, I think. Probably psychiatrist. But he was saying there's part of our brain, the more hard things we do, the more we enjoy doing hard things.
Yeah.
And going to the gym is something you can do that's hard that won't harm you, only helps your health. So we need some sort of hard in life. And actually, I'm sure you're the same, any person I know that is sort of a trust fund child, who's had mum and dad buy everything for them, is the most miserable. And that's not just to form an argument. I can literally think top of my head.
Because they haven't done the hard stuff.
Haven't done the hard stuff. Miserable. Yeah. Miserable. Every single one of them is miserable. And the people that have been through the hardest stuff are the nicest as well and the happiest.
I mean, for me, gym has always been part of my life. But when I truly transformed was when my coach said, Nazia, you need to go in a big gym, fully well equipped, not just some dumbbells in a small gym like the one I have at home.
Yeah.
And you need to go through some of that grit, in order to grow. And you won't transform unless you really kind of put yourself out there and push and build resilience. And he was so right in saying that. Okay, so we have BTX, inspired by your fitness journey from a very young age. What was it smooth sailing?
So that's a good point. So I basically, I had very good parents, and this is relevant. So my parents, when I sort of didn't want to go down a corporate route, become a doctor, lawyer, et cetera, my dad was very, very typical man. He was just like, do whatever you want, get your degree, you have that to fall back on, do what you want. So I became a personal trainer, started working in Gymbox Bank in the city. Yeah. Loved it. First year, it was dreadful, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I literally earned 20 grand the first year. My parents were very supportive. They go, look, we love the fact you're doing what you want to do, but you have to think about your career choice. So you're not going to be able to provide for a family, you can provide for yourself. And I said, look, if I do something I enjoy, I will monetize it. I'll find a way to make it work. I always will. And then basically
how many clients did you have in the first year?
Yeah, so the first year, probably around, per week, I would say I had 25 sessions, nothing smaller. Yeah, okay. But then what happened was I just decided this is going to be my career, rather than kind of think, I can go and work in an investment bank and all this kind of stuff. Or
you enjoyed transforming people.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the thing is, because I knew how much it genuinely helps someone, because I know anyone who's overweight is not happy.
Yeah.
No matter how much they lie to and look you in the eyes and go, I'm happy being fat, they're not. They're miserable.
Did you just train them, or at that point looked after their nutrition too?
Nutrition as well.
Yeah.
Nutrition as well. And that we talked about this earlier today.
Yeah.
The most important part is your relationship with food. And so the first year did well. And then basically I decided to go full in. And then within a year, I was doing 55 hours a week personal training, which is brutal, but earned very good money from it. And I loved it.
And this was year 2, right?
Year 2.
Year 2, okay. So you doubled your time.
Yeah, double the amount of hours. And then you start to realize, you're limited by your time. You're going to charge a certain amount, et cetera, et cetera. So what I did was I moved to a studio called Evolve in central London. We rented space. I worked there, had a couple of PTs work within that gym for me.
So you grew the business.
Grew the business. And then what happened was I needed to have my own space. One of my clients, Max Pemberton, who's a business consultant, he's a very, very famous doctor who writes for The Telegraph. Yeah. And he said to me, look, James, you have to have your own gym to create your own, I hate using the word vibe, but your own environment. You can control the environment, you control the atmosphere, et cetera, to create your brand, right? So what happened was I opened my gym in Hampstead in North London, where I'm from, and went from there. So the story about that was, it was all going very well. I was earning very good money.
Yeah. This is year 3 now?
Year 3, probably year 4 or 5 by now. There's probably a bit of like fluff in between. I'm not going to go through every single year. But that was the basic.
We will come back to the fluff later.
Yeah, we'll come back to the fluff later. Yeah. So what happened was I opened this gym.
Yeah.
Everything was going really well. I bought a beautiful flat in Essex in just outside of London. Had a lovely car, good set of watches, had everything. I was married as well. A lovely, lovely life. Yeah. Everything was set.
Everything was beautiful on paper.
Yeah, genuinely was beautiful on paper. It was. But what started to happen was my marriage, cut long story short, she started acting very strangely, my ex-wife.
After how long?
I was with her for 7 to 8 years. I was only married for around 6 months. I only got married 6 months ago.
And the problem surfaced after the 6 months?
Before we got married, probably, to be honest with you.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everyone's been in that relationship where you think everything's fine, but everyone else knows something's wrong, and you ignore it.
I actually want to pick up on this point. So before you got married, What was it? Intuition? Was it gut feeling? You knew something was off?
I knew if someone pointed a gun to me and said something off, and this isn't with hindsight, this is honestly, I knew something was wrong. So what happened was I knew something was odd. She was with someone at work who she worked with. And basically she'd come home late from work, the usual stuff, out like drinking, all that stuff. And yet at the time you go, she can't be doing anything at all.
Because we're getting married, right?
She's getting married, exactly. Yeah. So I confronted her. I just said to her, not in a nasty way, I said, look.
After the marriage?
This is before the marriage.
Before the marriage.
Before the marriage. And I said to her, look, I asked you once, are you having an affair with him? And she went, no, got really angry at me. I said, look, I'm going to ask once. I have to, because it is stranger behavior.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to trust you. It's completely fine. But then started pushing the boundary further and further, was staying later. Everyone's had this relationship, starting aggressive towards me, getting angry towards me.
Defensive.
You don't love me. You're having an affair. I'm like, I'm just not. Literally, I don't. She would literally have, say, my female friends, let's see at the gym or whatever it was, like genuine friends. I say, come along. Literally, like, genuinely, my friend, zero has happened. I look at the eyes, nothing's ever happened. They didn't even look at me that way at all, or each other. So they come along. Like they know you, that come along to the gym.
Yeah, because you had nothing to hide. You've been
zero,
completely transparent.
Zero. Literally, was like, come along to the gym. They genuinely really want to meet you. Like, they're just my friend. And she then would be like, you're having an affair. You love them. You might as well leave me.
So she was projecting, obviously, for something that was coming further down the line, right?
Yeah, you might as well leave me. You love somebody else. I'm like, I just went to
do you think she was giving you the option to leave her then?
Well, she was trying to push me away, basically. No, I don't think she was giving the option to me leave me, because I've had, I'm sure men and women have gone through this. I said, okay, well, if you don't want to be with me, well, I agree with you. Maybe we shouldn't be together. No. I'm like, okay, fine. We were sitting on the sofa one day, I remember, watching TV. And she went to me, dirty crying. I was like, what's wrong? And she goes, I don't want you to leave me. And I was like, I'm not leaving you. We're watching television together. What's wrong? Yeah, every person, man and woman's had that relationship. Yeah. But anyway, we got married. And basically one day she sat me down because I don't think our marriage is working. And I said,
this was after how long, Jim?
After 6 months after married. So she sat me down. I said, no, I agree with you. I don't think it is working. And then she went, bananas. That every woman doesn't want to. And I went, no, I agree with you. It's fine. Maybe we're not suited to each other. Goes, you're a lunatic. You're crazy. And I said, well, you said to me it's not working. And I said, I agree with you. Like, there obviously is something wrong with our relationship. We're both young, 29, haven't got kids, have a house, we'll both sell, split. Who cares?
And the problems were there pre-marriage.
Yeah, it wasn't new.
It started to manifest more.
Yeah, more and more later. And basically what happened was she ran out to her parents. Her mum, won't go into the stories, an actual, people use too much now, narcissist. She was a full-blown, like, clinically narcissist. And I never came across that word or anything. But she was the creme de la creme, the final boss of narcissists. Yeah, I mean, we can talk another time.
You have a tiered structure for narcissism.
She's top of the food chain.
Narcissist.
So, when you look in the encyclopedia, she's there, literally right there.
Wow.
But yeah, so we broke up. I went back. What happened was I had everything there. And I actually, just before that, I forgot to say this as well, that is super important. So very, very stressful time. That week, my best friend, it was actually my best man at a wedding, Daniel, died from a drug overdose.
The same week you had the conversation, the marriage is over.
Yeah, conversation, literally a week before.
Wow.
And yeah, I got a phone. Basically what happened, my friend Daniel. Daniel was at Oxford doing physics, very, very smart. His father's a lawyer, very good family, very good guy. And Daniel had an IQ of, I can't remember, something ridiculous. He got the highest mark ever recorded in physics at Oxford, ever.
Wow.
So one of the smartest people ever lived. Good looking, in shape, everything.
Yeah.
Had everything. But then just basically went to university, started doing drugs and spiraled. And then basically his parents found him dead. Someone found him dead and his dad had to go and identify the body in a drugs den in Wandsworth. And found out that. And then, yeah.
So let's pause here for 1 second. So you find out that your friend has died, highly academic, of an accidental overdose a week before your marriage falls apart. How do you deal with that?
Well, this is the thing. I think men do this all the time. And actually, my mum got diagnosed with bone cancer, terminally ill with bone cancer that week as well. So my friend died, and then I got a phone call from my dad. It's like, James, I'll sit down for a second. And they told me.
So you got hit by a bus 3 times.
Yeah, and then within one week.
Within 1 week.
And
that's intense, James. So how do you come back from that?
So what happened was, when I found out about my ex-wife, and we broke up anyway, I didn't know she couldn't, at the time, I wasn't 100% sure she was having an affair. I moved back to my parents. They lived in London. So went back to my parents, packed what I needed basically. And I sat in my bed. I remember just looking, it was my childhood bedroom. There was like my teddy bear there and stuff like that as well.
Wow.
There was a picture on the wall of at my wedding with my best man, Daniel, and my ex-wife or wife at the time, right? Technically, right there. And I just thought, what's even come to? This is crazy.
They've just both gone from your life.
Yeah. Well, that's the crazy thing, isn't it? I actually found a video, it was about 2 years ago on my phone, that was a video of me cooking with my mum Daniel, my best friend, and my ex-wife. And it was bizarre knowing all those people gone from my life, right? It's strange, a very strange feeling when I saw that. At the time, you can't imagine those people, the most important people in your life are gone.
That's devastating.
Yeah,
losses.
They're big, but I think the way you'd come back from that is, my parents, when I came back, they're like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm completely fine. It wasn't lying as a man. I literally was like, I'm fine.
But, so I have to ask you this. Were you okay though? How can you be okay?
So this is an interesting thing, right? So if someone looked me in the eyes and they meant you're concerned, and I'll go to them, I am fine. And I wasn't pretending. Genuinely on the inside, I felt fine.
You weren't wearing a mask?
Genuinely wasn't. Well, this is what I thought.
You didn't want to hug that teddy bear on your bed?
No, this is the thing. So funnily enough, this is what I thought. So as a man, I think what happens with men, and women do it as well, we go, we're fine.
Yeah.
And the truth is, genuinely, if someone held a gun to my head.
That's why I'm pushing, because no one's ever fine from that. Right?
So what happened was, when I moved back home, I carried on as normal, went to work, went into the city, did my PT, etc. And then one day...
In rescue mode, right?
Yeah, and then one day, I remember, I basically went to bed as normal, woke up, and there was an email that was John Doe, it said, the email, like a fake email. And it said, my ex-wife's name is having an affair with X, the guy at work. They literally had that email, John Doe email, like a fake email. All I remembered at that point was, I don't remember anything. I just remember seeing the email. I can still see it in my head. It was MSN email. I saw the MSN email. And then kind of went blank. And then all that happened was, I remember getting a really tight chest. And then I went into my parents' bedroom and I said to my dad, Dad, you need to call an ambulance. And he goes, you're fine. I was like, no, Dad, there's something wrong. I can't breathe. Anyway.
Panic attack?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So I genuinely thought there's something wrong. I didn't know what it was. An ambulance came round. Back then, the NHS was pretty good. It was like 20 minutes. This is the thing. It was actually quite quick. I was shocked. But the 20 minutes, I'll tell you something about this, right? I thought was literally that 20 minutes felt, I'm not joking about it, felt like the longest possible. I can't fathom. My dad's like, here in 3 minutes.
And what panic attack? I mean, I haven't experienced one, thank God. Is it when you are not in control of your breath? Like
it's interesting you said that.
You can't breathe.
No, so this is the thing. So this is, every single person I know that's had a panic attack is a real one, not I feel short of breath and anxious. Yeah. It's very different.
Explain it to us.
Right. So your heart rate feels really high. And how to describe it? It's quite a while ago now, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. What's it feel like? It feels like time feels still. It's only to describe it. It's very, very hard to describe. And at the time, logically, there's nothing wrong because my dad's like, you're fine. It's a panic attack. No one's died from one. You're fine. You genuinely feel like it's the worst thing on earth. It's very hard to describe to someone.
Does it feel like you can't breathe?
Yeah, it feels like you can't breathe. Right. The way to describe it.
Like you're being suffocated.
Yeah. Like heart rate's very high.
Yeah.
And so it is a physical thing. So I remember what happened was, I went to the Royal Free Hospital. My dad took me. And what happened was they do your blood work. And there's something called, there's a marker for your heart. If you had a heart attack, and it came up as very, very high. So it looks like you've had a heart attack. So it's not a pretend thing. It's not an emotional thing. It's actually physical in your body.
Yeah.
Because annoying, I can't remember the top of my head. So anyway, what happened was I stayed there overnight.
Did this diagnose it as a heart attack?
No. So
but the markers were high.
Yeah, very, very high. So what happened was I stayed overnight. They put me on a drip. Basically, cut a long story short, they said I had kidney failure. I didn't. Something called creatinine, which is a marker of kidney health. But if you have a lot of muscle tissue, your creatinine is high. So the junior doctor there, be very blunt, was an idiot. He literally goes, you have kidney failure. I don't have kidney failure. I have high creatinine because I have a lot of muscle tissue. And goes, you need to go on a drip. Stayed there overnight, wasted loads of time and money. The nephrologist, the kidney specialist, two of them came in actually and asked me about what it was. And they literally went, you don't have kidney failure. Literally, you just have a lot of muscle tissue.
Yeah.
Anyway, they asked me about what happened, been going on. They said to me, you've had a panic attack.
Right.
But they said a lot of women, being honest, a lot of women think they've had panic attacks or they're anxious. A proper panic attack, I've met every single person who's had one. When they light up when they've had one themselves, they look at me like this. I said, have you had one yourself? And they go, yeah, I've had one. Every single one has been a masculine man.
Because I've ended up in hospital with an allergy and there was shortness. I couldn't breathe. And that felt like a panic attack, but it wasn't. It's the fact that I thought I was going to die. I had shortness of breath.
Well, it could have died. I mean, with an anaphylactic shock, right?
Yeah. And I was at the stage before, That's why I was interested in hearing what is actually a panic attack. What does it feel like?
But the thing is, most men, I'm honest about it because what happened was I was just covering up. Well, also another question, what did you do?
You had been through so much though.
Yeah, what do you do as well? I mean, the thing is, people can sit there and cry about it. Genuinely, what else do you do? You have to literally get on with life, right? I spoke about it, honestly, but then literally like, I'm here. What else can you do about it? And then, honestly, straight after it happened, I was shattered. I went back home, and I can swear my life literally was completely fine afterwards.
I think we all deal with loss, trauma, shock differently, right?
Of course.
Some of us block it out, and then it catches up with us in years later, and we need therapy. In my case, I suppressed losing my dad because I was busy taking care of everybody else that was falling apart in the family. And then it caught up with me many years later.
Take your mind off everything, right?
And I needed counseling, bereavement counseling and therapy to get over his loss. I just bottled it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I put it in a place and thought I'll deal with it later.
It always catches up with you.
Always catches up
with you.
Okay, so having dealt with the loss of a best friend, your mom was diagnosed at this point?
Yeah, diagnosed. She passed away 2 years ago. She was diagnosed with, was actually mainly in her bones, but was original breast cancer and bone cancer by then. So both by then.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. So how did you come back with that? What was the comeback plan?
Yeah, so what happened was I basically had that panic attack, and then, I'm not joking, the next morning was fine. I was very tired, but just went back to work. And the comeback plan was to open my gym in London. Mm-hmm. I opened the gym, I can't remember what year it was, 2020 it must have been. Mm-hmm. March, I think it was March. And then what happened was
the year before COVID?
Well, yeah, that's the year of COVID.
Oh, so right. It was in March 2020, right?
So I opened my gym, put all my life savings which I had left. I hadn't sold my flat with my ex-wife yet, so all the cash I left. And then the lockdown happened 10 days later.
Wow.
Yeah, and then basically what happened was, it couldn't be open. The landlord applied for my government grant and stole my 25 grand.
Oh.
So I had no money to literally eat. It was bad. So the thing is, people say it can't, my favorite one was
it can't get any worse. It did.
Yeah, my mum said to me, I remember, she goes, it can't get worse. And I remember my dad saying, don't say that, literally. It can get worse. And then that happened.
And it did, yeah.
Yeah, and during COVID, basically, we just opened up behind closed doors and basically kept the gym shutters shut. And at the time, people were going crazy. You're an animal. You don't care about people. And now we know what's happened. Like, all the lies have been spread about it. All the money that's been laundered by the government. And it was insane. And all the furlough, etc. People going on that furlough. Exactly, laughing. Who's paying? I was like, who's paying for your furlough?
I remember looking up furlough on Google thinking, they just created this word.
It's created it.
Yeah. Okay, so then what happened during COVID? So you had a gym with closed doors for business. What were you doing?
Well,
how did you survive?
How did I survive? Barely. I mean, literally, we kept open. Some of the clients already there stayed. Would obviously come in. They're big business owners themselves. A lot of them
they could train during lockdown?
Yeah, they came in. Well, not legally. Yeah. Well, actually, legally they could. The actual legality is they actually could. Legally, the government can't stop you working. That's the actual legality, yeah.
But they did say, didn't they? If it's safe to go to work, go to work. If it's not safe.
But not for the gym. So remember this thing they used to say? They used to say they went... they say only essential business can be open. Essential business. Yeah, but a restaurant's essential.
Yours was essential.
But it wasn't essential. The gym apparently wasn't essential.
So were people training with social distance? Practicing social distance? Like, how was it working?
Basically, you would have, so be PT only. So you'd have literally, say, a couple.
Right.
Or people who train with their personal trainer.
So basically. Your PTs, your group of personal trainers would come in and train with clients one-on-one?
Yes, one-on-one, yes. So it wasn't an open gym, basically, come in.
Got it.
And I remember what happened was eventually someone called, actually not once, the police were constantly called down. So actually, there was an article in the Daily Mail about me.
Who called the police?
Everyone in Hampstead who doesn't work, of course. Actually, people that don't work are on furlough. So people on furlough, people that don't work, complaining about people working. And I was paying, and same with you, I'm sure, I was paying, my tax was going to them, not to work. It's insane. It's insane. Well, you know what, the UK...
But were they witnessing people in and out of your gym and then complained?
That I don't even know. But the police told me when they came around, they said, multiple neighbours. And we made a joke about, they're like, people just don't work and they're bored. They want to moan about
things. They need
things.
something to do.
Yeah, they're bored basically. So anyway, they called the police. The police came around multiple times, even when I wasn't there. No one was in the gym. Video of them coming in with their clipboard, bang on the door with police vans. Insane. I've got the whole video of it. We'll maybe put on a clip, but it was crazy. I've got them all on my phone, online.
So you ended up in the press?
Yeah, ended up in the press and Daily Mail, which is great. They say gym owner refused to keep his gym guys. There was this thing. And I remember the time, all the comments. You know what's crazy? That most of them are actually positive. Daily Mail. And most of the comments were positive. And then British attitude, they're like, who's that guy you think he's in? He's even in prison forever. He's as bad as a murderer, all this kind of stuff. And then you look back at this.
And then we see a year or 2 years down the line that Boris was having parties in number 10.
Exactly. This is the crazy thing, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And I laugh at that when people go to me, oh, he was having a party while he was locking you all up. Aren't you angry? And then what happened was after COVID finished, people just forgot about it. And then we're all paying that back through our tax. And people aren't more angry. They're just literally sitting there going, oh, it didn't happen.
So tell me, so what happened after lockdown 1? Because I remember it, the streets were ghosted, everything was empty. So lockdown, so then we came into the summer at the end of the first lockdown.
Yes, and then we thought it was open, then went back into lockdown again. Yeah.
And that's when I escaped the UK.
I couldn't because of my gym, but
So what then? How did you navigate around the second and the third, the most severe lockdown, the last one?
Yeah, the last one when I think it was Omicron or something. I can't remember. It was something else, wasn't it? I can't remember anyway. It was the one again that had a more severe lockdown, right? So pretty much the same thing. And to cut a long story short, we just kept open with our current clients.
Yeah.
And our current clients who had businesses, were lawyers, doctors, everything. And look, I'm not one of those people that just decides what I want to do. I genuinely ask people, the physicians, doctors, what's going on.
Yeah.
And they told me exactly the same thing. They go, the death rate for COVID is the same as bad flu. And the thing is, and that was the truth. If you look at the numbers now, I know with hindsight, it had the same death rate as normal flu.
And also when you are working with serious professionals like doctors and lawyers, there's only so much they will listen to the government.
Correct.
And also, there were 2 groups of people in lockdown.
Yeah, we know
right?
What they are, yeah.
There was one group of people that really invested in their health and fitness. And then there was another group of people filling the trolleys up with bad food and
toilet paper.
Alcohol and toilet paper, right? Yeah. They're two different types of people. So the binge group and those that invested in their homes, the DIY, and got healthy and fit. So you were obviously working with the one of the groups. How did that play out during lockdown? So were people just coming in, using the gym, using your personal training squad to get fit and healthy?
It's funny you said that. So 2 things are super important you said about this. So this thing where people think they go on about conspiracy theorists, I'm telling you this, factually all my friends who are all friends and clients who are entrepreneurs and educated business owners, doctors, surgeons, know they were tricked. It's people that were still, exactly. The people that still think it was actually, of course, COVID was real. I'm not going to say COVID, the virus obviously was real.
Yeah.
But the way they responded to was a huge money grab. And every single person I know, the professional job, knows is angry. And my clients who came to the gym knew what was going on. They're so angry and furious.
Because the entrepreneurs, the business owners, they think for themselves.
They're not agreeable.
They do not follow what the government tells them. I mean, I had. They're
not agreeable people.
I didn't agree with anything. I had my own way of doing things. Hence why I left.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we came out of lockdown, and then business is back to normal. You fully open.
So just to add to that part, I had three separate clients say to me, and these aren't people that are, be very blunt, Fruit Loops, people that have professional jobs who said, "You keeping your gym open saved my life."
Exactly.
3 of them, I'm not exaggerating, I'm saying this, all 3 of them, when they're serious, said, I was planning to hang myself and kill myself.
Wow.
I had 3 friends commit suicide during COVID. Yeah, one was an investment banker, jumped off London Bridge. Another one hung himself in his garden. There's one more, God, that's how bad it is. But the point being anyway is that people think, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, but people are locked up by themselves. The damage it caused. My mum wasn't allowed cancer treatment.
We are not meant to be by ourselves locked up.
We're
as human
social
beings,
creatures.
we need interaction.
We need interaction.
Human interaction.
We're social. My mum wasn't allowed cancer treatment during COVID, and people will go to me, oh, it's disgusting you keeping the gym open. I said, well, first of all, Boris Johnson and all these cronies were partying while they were locked up. Second of all, who do you think paid for your furlough? Business owners. And third of all, what about the amount of cancer patients get treated? My mum has private healthcare. She had very good private healthcare. I think it was Royal Marsden in Chelsea. By miracle, incredible treatment. She got to the point where her cancer was spread all over her body, got to the point where it was a pea-sized tumor on her breast. Pretty much at the end of her treatment, so would have survived. During COVID, she was not allowed to go in for chemotherapy. Yeah. Spread, she had some, I think, hormone therapy, not proper chemo, spread all over her body. And 2 years ago, I watched her rot to death. And sorry, Mum, I mentioned this on a podcast, but I watched her shitting herself in a nappy and I had to bathe her. And I think people, when they say to me, it doesn't matter about COVID, we're not talking about that now. I'm like, I had to watch my mum rot to death. And not just my mum, there's 2 million people in the country that died from cancer because of it.
To be honest, my nephew, he had some kind of fibroblastoma, it's called. It's like a little condition that boys are. It only lives within boys. And he had 2 operations and the NHS messed up. They didn't get all the tumor out.
Yeah.
It was very close to his heart. And then the 3rd operation, I literally had to put so much pressure on the doctors to get him in for an operation, because once he was on waiting list and COVID.
We're dead by the time we got treatment, right?
It was like, wow, we don't know what will happen to him. So we had to be quite aggressive with the surgeon and said, you know what, get him in for surgery.
How many people had that? How many millions of people had that? And it's just crazy how people, what we said, you can see with your family, so my mum.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that just destroyed their lives, lost their businesses, can never work and can't. And people just go, oh, I'm not talking about it now. I'm like, are you mental? That was bizarre.
I think it's I think maybe it's convenient for some people to just put it behind them or suppress their emotions or pretend it didn't happen or it wasn't as bad as it was, but it was bad.
Do you think possibly because actually they know what kind of person they are now by the way they behaved? I think a lot of us that.
I think one of the things about lockdown is that it taught us to face our demons.
You have to sit with yourself.
We have to sit with ourselves. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror. And to be honest, in lockdown 1, I returned to my bad habits, self-destructive habits, partying day and night in my little bubbles. People around my house, drinking, eating, all that. And I remember when I had to look at myself, hangover and Deliveroo on speed dial, I remember saying to myself, what the hell are you doing? When are you going to stop this? When are you going to return to the version you were before Dad died? The bulletproof version. And strangely enough, since being in Dubai, I've become a much better version than the version I wanted for myself. But when I was on a self-destruct mission, because I was locked in at home, I had to had these harsh self-talks with myself. Like, what are you doing? When are you going to wake the fuck up, When are you going to turn this thing around? You're very capable. But for me, it was good. Because if lockdown didn't happen, maybe I would have been living life on repeat.
The pain point needs to be big enough to make change. Most people's pain point isn't big enough. Most people, you see this from sure with clients, etc. They say get out of shape. They do 2 things. They get out of shape. Then they either will go, I want to get into shape. And they say they find it difficult to form these good habits. Then what they do is 1 or 2 things. They'll blame somebody else. Or
I'm busy or blah, blah. Yeah.
Or they'll literally become one of those people that go, I don't care about being in shape. They lie to themselves to protect themselves. That's with everything. People either literally deal with the problem or they lie to themselves to protect themselves. It's one or the other.
Yeah. There's no other way of looking at it.
No other way.
Yeah. And habit building is an interesting one. You've said that because obviously I worked with over 300 senior execs, a lot of C-suites. And habit building isn't a big deal. It's about taking small steps every day that compound over time. And that there's this quote that's overly used that it takes 21 days to kick an old habit and form a new habit and 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. Hence why my programs are 90 days, because you go through a real transformation.
It has to take 90 days.
It has to be 90 days. Otherwise, you haven't transformed, because we've got to forget where we've been. We've got to build new habits, and then we have to practice those habits on repeat so that it becomes second nature. So now I will wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm on autopilot. I have my morning routine.
And you love it now, right?
And I love it.
You don't want anything else.
I don't want anything else, nothing interrupting it. And it's that very routine of getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, meal plans, training every day, meditations, visualizing, journaling, all these things that created the entrepreneur in me.
Because the same systems work in business, right?
The system, the method.
The responsibility.
And you know what? It's not a big thing. It's little things.
They add up over time. People think they have to go crazy at first. Eat 6 meals a day, go to the gym 6 times a week. It doesn't start like that.
But sometimes it's as basic as when you get up, make your bed, right? Now, I've lived in hotels during COVID in Dubai before I moved to my home. But my mom always told me to make my bed in the mornings when I woke up. And it's something I still do. Even if the maid's coming around and she's going to make the bed, I will make it because it's order for me, James. If the house is in order, then I have OCD as well. So
Jordan Peter's thing is clean your room.
Yeah.
People don't have a clean room or a clean house at home are the ones who criticize others, right?
Yeah.
It's to project their own problems onto other people. People that gossip, literally, they're not happy with themselves.
Yeah.
We said this before, people criticize you. Have you ever met someone criticizing how you look who's happy with themselves or in shape?
We are inviting local companies to promote their brand in Gym Nation. If your target audience is the health-conscious, fitness-savvy consumer, and activation at Gym Nation could elevate your visibility and expand your reach in multiple locations, in multiple territories, Members like nothing better than a giveaway or a good sample sale. If you want to get involved, please get in touch with us today. I mean, yeah, I've been criticized for looking the way I am. And it has been, now I don't have these people because I put boundaries in place and I don't welcome this criticism, but people just projecting. And then I look at them, and I'm a very intuitive coach. And even before I became a coach, I know when people are projecting their insecurities onto me because I've done nothing for them to criticize me. So for them to openly criticize me
out of nowhere,
unwarranted, unjustified, it has to come from a place of pain. They're in pain and they're just inflicting it on me.
The person that argues with the waiter, isn't it?
If it's constructive criticism, I will always listen to it.
Of course.
Always.
But you know when it doesn't. Humans beings know as well when it comes where it comes from, right? Someone genuinely being helpful versus literally they're just throwing it out there because they're angry at themselves.
I've had women being very nasty to me, to be honest. Very. And I walk away thinking, I would never speak to somebody like that.
But they're in pain. You have to think about this.
They're in pain.
One of my father said something really, really special. It's important. He said to me when someone's being nasty, you know what it's like, I'm sure back in London, the Karen types, you go in the queue, they walk in front of you, they're shouting at the waiter, pointing their fingers, go, I don't want to put up with this. And so my dad said to me, he goes, but think about how much pain that person's in and also think about the hell they're in being in their own head.
Yeah.
And I may feel sorry for them. Look at them go, they're in a lot of pain. I don't feel that at all. I wouldn't argue with the way shouting, pointing my finger, doing this. It's because anytime I've ever come across that, I'm sure you've had this before, I would literally go, so what do you do for work? And they're like, oh, you don't work, you don't do anything. They're never successful in their own, in themselves. They're unhappy, they're miserable.
Yeah.
Bored, unhappy, unfulfilled. And those are the kind of people that criticize you.
Yeah, to be honest, I saw it firsthand last week. And do you know what? It really unsettled me. And it wasn't aimed at me. I was in a hairdresser's and she was running late. And I was the client that she was running late with. And actually, I was coming here to record a podcast. And the lady who arrived, my God, she launched into a major attack at the hairdresser. And the hairdresser was on her back foot, profusely apologizing. Now, if somebody apologizes to me more than 2-3 times, I feel uncomfortable. So stop. Please stop. It's okay.
It's enough. Sorry.
And she kept going on and on and on. And you know what, James? I had to interject. But listen, it's my fault she's running late because I was running late. And has anyone died? Just out of interest?
You're fine.
Like, what is the big deal here? And you know what? She's just some jumped up influencer.
Of course.
And she just wanted it her way.
Of course.
And she gave the hairdresser hell. And it was uncomfortable for me to watch.
Yeah.
And I thought, why are you doing this? Stop this. And I think that's just the coach in me. I was like,
but it's horrible, isn't it, when you watch that?
It's not okay to treat people like that.
I think probably one of yours, my pet hates is watching people treat like staff or waiters like that. And it's just, but again, no one who's content themselves, again, literally anyone that has, to be very blunt, anyone I know who has a professional job, who's worked very hard for their position, never talks to people like they just don't.
I always find people, for example, people that have a lot, that have achieved a lot, that have gone through the grit, the growth, the transformation, the pain, the trauma, they're the ones that don't sweat the small stuff.
Bother, literally, they're busy.
I always find people that sweat the small stuff are those with limiting beliefs. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, they are. You're right. The people that are very neurotic. Yeah, you're right. The people that argue with their hairdresser, etc.
Yeah.
I think part of it's learned behavior. I think a lot of it is your personality traits, and people don't like to admit that.
Or you've got you're at a war with yourself, and you just have to inflict that pain onto someone else, and take the attention away from you. But listen, let's talk about Dubai. What was the turning point and what made you come to Dubai? And before you answer that, what was your opinion on Dubai? The reason I ask this is because to our listeners, I never dreamed or wished to live in Dubai because the British media portrayed Dubai to be bling and bullshit and fake and all this stuff. Fake it till you make it, I think, is one of the terms that goes around in British headlines. Would you agree with that, James?
Absolutely not.
No, I mean, as in what the British portray.
Oh, what? That, yes. God, of course they do. Literally, yeah, of course.
They literally, so for me, it's always been a transit place, going to Asia, stopping off in Dubai for a night. When I came here in lockdown 2, it absolutely blew my mind that the city's full of positivity. It's clean. It promotes entrepreneurship. It has this phenomenal speed when it comes to digital businesses and supporting them. Well, all businesses, not just digital. And I remember kicking myself, James, thinking, why did it take lockdown for me to discover Dubai? Why did I not move here sooner? That was my impression within 2 weeks of moving here. So tell me the why. Why Dubai for you?
So first of all, what you just said there, the British media will portray it as a place for fake people. There's no culture.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, they'll say, oh, it's backwards, their thought process.
Or they think women are walking around in hijab.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest ones, so there's a long list, isn't there, then? So we'll go through the negative stuff people think, and we'll go through why it's not true first, and then I go why I moved. So one of the ones about people, friends have said to me, goes, oh, women don't have any rights. And it makes you laugh. I mean, you can't see it, maybe it's on camera in the gym. When someone said that to me, one of my friends, I remember, I was on the phone to him when I was living here already, and he said to me, oh, women don't have any rights. And I literally, I was in Bagatelle in DIFC, and I just took a video and everyone was in a miniskirt, and he's like, what? I said, mate, you're being lied to. Like, what are you talking about? Literally, like, you're completely delusional.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. In terms of no culture, it's an Arab country, Muslim country, and have a call to prayer whatever it is. I don't know the timing, but it's an Arab country with Muslim heritage.
And we're in the sand pit. This is our culture. Desert is our culture, right?
Yeah, desert is the culture. But the thing is as well, even with that, say there's no culture. Why is it the first thing that bothers you? What's the British culture? To stab each other? To moan?
Not to go to the pub and waste away all your cash from the week by drinking it away.
Drinking, doing coke, watching the football, moaning about your football club, being fat.
Yeah.
Getting another shit tattoo. Literally, I don't understand. Why is that something to be proud of? I
think when the British say culture, is what they aspire, like culturally, like the art, you know, the fine dining, the gastronomy. I think there is culture in Britain. You've got to agree that there is. There's a great art scene. There's a great fashion scene. But I think what we see, or what I've witnessed, is I have witnessed all of that. But I think on the whole, it's just people in pubs getting pissed.
It is. So one thing is super important. So the thing about UK is a wealthy country. Actually, I'll remove that. It's a shithole with London attached to it. I'm sorry, you're from Manchester. Manchester's wealthy as well. So you have a few cities, two cities. Actually, Manchester.
I mean, I was living in London before I moved here, but I think the Londoners treat the rest of the country as like, you're.
But it is. Well, actually, financially, it is that. So actually, not whether
it carries the country.
It does carry the country, whether people like it or not, it does. And I'm from London. I would say that otherwise. My friends are from up north. It does carry the country, the financial district. We don't produce anything, so most of the money comes from financial services in London. What we did by leaving the European Union, what we did by putting taxes up through the roof, is businesses have moved to other countries. So you look at here. If you look at the back of, say, anything from Google and from Apple, they'll say Dublin on, because they have low corporation tax.
Yeah.
So they move there. I think people are delusional, have never owned a business. So they think, well, oh, you know what? People just carry on paying tax the rich, tax the rich. Well, you know what the rich do? They leave. They move their businesses. And people don't realize that people who are entrepreneurial, that take risk, provide jobs, and they pay large amounts of tax, they help everyone else. That's where capitalism works. However, what they've done in the UK is tax the rich. And the Conservative government have done it well.
They push the rich out now, I think, because there's a lot of people, influx of people that have come here.
Well, the actual statistics are the number one country in the world for the number of millionaires coming here is the UAE. Is number one in the world. And you have to think about this. Second is the US, but the US has 350 million people. Yeah. The UAE has, I think, about 12 million people. And most of it's Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So if you look at that, the statistics per person is what? UAE has more, 12 million to 350 million. I can't on the top of my head, but say it's, 10, 30 times the amount, give or take, per person. Millionaires are coming to the UAE. And you know what the worst?
And it's easier to become a millionaire here as well.
Correct. But this is the important thing, people with money. But the highest outgoing number of millionaires, number one is China. The number two is UK. However, China has 1.2 billion people. The UK has 70 million. So say there's 20% discrepancy between China and UK. You have to remember, there's literally 1.2 million people, 70 million people in the UK, which means that the per person is horrific what's going on in the UK. And add to that, we're talking in the car. If you look at the reason why London is wealthy and property price expensive is because of foreign investment, Russians, Chinese, Indians, etc. And they are all removing their money and putting it into Dubai.
Putting it into Dubai, yeah. So when you moved over to Dubai, why Dubai? What made you think, that's where I need to be? And or was it a holiday like me? And then you thought, you know what, this is where I need to have a business or move my business or set up another branch of BTX here. Like, talk to me about that journey.
It's both. So I came in here on holiday, was it now maybe 2022, end of October 2022. I came here, loved it. I love the fact that one thing's super important. It's not just low tax here. The reason why I love Dubai so much is, number one, obviously the tax is low, but say I remove that, how safe it is. And another thing that's very, very big compared to other country is the quality of healthcare and schooling. So it's not just a country that has, it's nice restaurants, etc.
Yeah,
that's lovely. However, the quality of healthcare is by far better than the UK. The reason, again, what do you think is going to happen to doctors, good doctors? Getting paid as a consultant 80 grand here and getting paid £300,000 here.
Do you think it's because it's private here, it's privatized?
Absolutely. Yeah. The NHS factually doesn't work. And it makes lefties get annoyed at it. But the fact is, the NHS has more money than ever put into the NHS. So how come 40 years ago it worked? Where's the money going? It's being laundered. People don't realize this. Anyone I know works in the NHS has been laundered. All of it is shell companies, consultancy companies that government officials own. If you think for some reason it keeps needing more and more money, then you're delusional. We need to put money into it. Well, no, we can't keep putting money. It's obviously a shell that is broken. If you look at places in other countries, right, they have subsidized healthcare, which I believe in. Say somebody that earns a certain amount should pay a bit more, but is subsidized because you pay for your tax. Yeah. But someone that seriously needs it is actually disabled, not bullshit disabled. Genuinely has a problem that can't work. They should be looked after. But the issue is it's being abused in the NHS. The point I'm trying to make is it just doesn't work. It sounds beautiful, doesn't the NHS, but it just doesn't work.
No, and I think most of the country would agree with that. So your transition into Dubai.
Yep. So I basically, what happened was
you were attracted by the healthcare, it's entrepreneurial, no taxes.
No taxes. And what happened was I decided after the holiday I want to move eventually.
Okay.
And the reason I moved.
How long did you come here for a holiday?
3 weeks.
Yeah,
but I kind of lived here. Yeah, it's interesting. But I kind of lived here, not lived here, but what I did was I did what I do in the UK. I worked still.
Dipped in and out.
Yeah, does that make sense? What I did was I had a normal lifestyle. I wasn't just going to the beach. I was literally like working, going to the gym, etc. And I felt like home. Right. But what happened to me was a push and pull. So I think same for you. I think people say, what moved you here because of Dubai? I think I got pushed out the UK as well. So it's a bit of both. What moved me to the Dubai was I moved a year later. What happened was I was going to get my, you can do 90 days in the UK and then have to pay UK tax. I asked my accountant, and by then when I asked him about moving to Dubai, I said, you've actually done 88 days. So he said, if you move tomorrow, you won't pay your personal tax in July or June. And then you get your January tax back. And I was like, great. Pack 2 suitcases.
Let's do it. Day 89, one-way ticket to Dubai.
Where Emirates ticket, what it did. And literally went to the Ritz-Carlton, lived there for a few weeks, and then moved to Sonder in Business Bay, and then did that. And then built my business out here. Moved my business to Dubai.
And that's 2 years now?
Year and 6 months.
Year and 6 months.
But I've done this properly. We spoke about this earlier. I bought a house here recently. I have everything set up here. It's not, a lot of people say they live in Dubai. They don't live in Dubai. A lot of them bounce back and forth. They don't actually live here.
Living here is actually, having a house, paying bills.
But, it's actual, not going on holiday and pretending you live in Dubai. You don't live in Dubai.
But to be honest, I lived in a hotel for 7 months and that's when the country was under shutdown. And I did actually try to get out, and thankfully I wasn't allowed. But it became a home in year 2, if that makes sense. Year 1, I was in transitioning. I wasn't sure. I was still thinking I was going back to the UK. Okay, so tell me in one word, tell me, what does transformation mean to you?
The biggest thing for transformation for any single person, people say it's different for everyone, but the biggest thing for transformation is taking personal responsibility. As I said earlier in the podcast, is realizing that you're responsible for yourself. You can blame others, but you're always responsible.
So responsibility,
personal responsibility. Because if you have personal responsibility for anything, every single aspect,
you're likely to take responsibility in other areas of your life.
Everything. So that could be, so the funny thing is interesting. Yeah. It can be the first place you take responsibility maybe at your work.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize if I work hard at something and don't blame others and learn off the best and just chip away over time, I can become a good entrepreneur or earn money in my work. Then you take that same mindset to physical, or it can be physically getting into shape. Yeah. You realize I have to take responsibility. I keep turning up every single day. And you might take that kind of mindset into your work.
Yeah.
And you do the same mindset into relationships.
I think you become a machine then once you start to take responsibility for every aspect of your life. You're no longer relying on anyone else for the results. It's just you.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things I realized is people see people that are very driven or people that do incredibly brave stuff, whatever it may be, going to war, whatever it is, right? And you look at them and go, this guy or girl's never scared.
Yeah.
No, they are scared. What's brave is being scared and still doing it anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Like I've been through some very scary moments in the last 2 years of launching my business. Lots of ups and downs, lots of lonely moments, some moments of where I broke down, burnt out, crying uncontrollably. But I've come out really resilient from all of those experiences. Did I want to give up? Hell yeah. Yeah, and more than once as well.
The prize, this thing, like the prize of the Ferrari is not the Ferrari.
But I
itself,
kept building, kept investing. Nothing took me down. And now I look back and think, wow, I did all that.
Yeah, but that is proof to you can do it again.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing. So what I want to say just then was the prize of the Ferrari is not the Ferrari itself. It's the person you had to become to buy the Ferrari.
Yeah. And I
proof to you.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever been so true to my purpose, lived life so authentically as I have in the last 2 years since I launched my business. Because my purpose is in helping others become better. And I think when you're on that journey to serve others, yeah, you're on.
Because you live it yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I think we speak about this quite a lot, is where you see personal trainers out of shape saying, I can be a trainer. Like, you can't.
Oh,
it's insanity. It's just insanity.
Yeah. So I have to pick up on this. This is when I was overweight. So for 3.5, my transformation started in September 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was in the gym. I was in Fitness First in DIFC. And I remember joining the gym, and Ravi and I had moved into our house and we joined Fitness First. And do you know what? I had so many trainers come up to me, offering me packages and sessions.
Course, yeah.
And they're all over me. And this one lady, she literally wouldn't leave me alone, bombard me with messages. But every time I saw her, James, I thought, you're out of shape. Why would I hire you as my PT? Now, for our listeners out there, I kid you not, this is not me being judgmental.
Why are you apologizing for that?
Would you hire a lawyer if a lawyer didn't have a lawyer degree? Why hire a personal trainer that is out of shape? Would you agree with me? Do you agree?
Of course, I agree with you. Yeah. Asking the audience, but I said during that, so why do people even need to apologize for it? I don't apologize.
No, because I think there are people out there that think, oh, why criticize the personal trainer? But I'm sorry, the job of a personal trainer. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, sorry,
not sorry. The job of a trainer. The part of the appeal is, wow, the trainer is in such good shape.
They live a life themselves.
She looks really fair, or he, and wow, they know what they're doing. Because I'm judging them by their capability. And that capability has to show up physically, not just in their accredited PT. I couldn't care less about that.
Doesn't mean anything.
I want them to look the part. You do know that saying, walk the walk and talk the talk?
Yeah, it's financial advisor. No other career in the world would allow that, though.
Yeah.
It's only PT, people accept it. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, and then other PTs, they pitch their... And at that point, I thought, I know what I'm doing. I'd hired a coach. And I had a plan, and I was following that plan. But there was one PT, she said, Nazi, I really want to work with you. And I liked the shape of her. And I did consider her. I didn't hire her. Because at that point, I became headstrong. I was working with a coach. And I knew that I was at the beginning part of my transformation. Like something great was unfolding. And I didn't want a trainer coming in and messing up my nutrition.
You knew what you were doing by then anyway.
Yeah, I remember my coach saying, after 6 months, his name's Fraser. I'm going to have to have him on the show because I believe he's the guy behind my,
mindset.
He kicked me. He really kicked my ass. And I'm really, really so thankful that he did. I do the same with some of my clients now. They need a kicking here and there. I do it. We're talking verbal for the listeners. Never physical. I'm not abusive. But he said, Nazia, you have to learn to be to embrace the discomfort. You have to learn to enjoy the uncomfortable points of your transformation journey. This is not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy, So, and I remember him saying, "You have the mindset of a champion, and you could compete at my muscle shows." And I was like, "I'm not going that far." He said, "Yes, but you have it in you. I see it." So, I'm forever thankful to him. And he was the guy who drove 10 kilos in 10 weeks off me.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But that's the same in business. Is it supposed to be comfortable?
No. Growth is not comfortable. If you want to grow, if you want to create the life of your dreams, you have to show up and you've got to put the reps in.
Do you think someone becomes mentally strong by having an easy life?
No.
Do you think somebody becomes physically strong by never putting any effort into the gym?
Because I think mentally, the mental muscle, our brain, is probably the most important, and that muscle has to be trained, and it has to be knocked over, and we have to build resilience, and in order to come back. And one of the things that underpins this podcast is a transformation comes from our biggest setbacks. And we can come back in as the best version. The most epic comeback comes from the biggest downfall. I'm a big believer in that.
You're absolutely right, and that's why you asked the question to your podcast guest, right?
Yeah,
that's what I was very different before that happened. All that stuff happened.
Like I was a caterpillar in lockdown 1, stuffing my face, drinking, partying like it was going out of fashion. Now I'm a butterfly.
Yeah,
and that transformation has not been easy, but it's been worth the journey. So what now, James? Where's the business at?
Yes, we own our gym in North London. It does very well. Doing well.
How many trainers have you got there? How big is the team?
I've got 5. 5 trainers.
How many clients?
I should know. I should know. That's for my manager to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it does really well. We're going to expand next door. We've actually got a place next door is double the size. We'll expand there. Amazing. And the next goal would be either to open in Dubai. My business partner is Neapolitan. He's from the south of Italy. Mm-hmm. He wants to open something there, but we're looking at opening something in Dubai. Possibly in a residential area would be the one. Yeah. As a
physical space.
Physical space, yes. Physical
space,
right
now, how do you run BTX from here? How does that work?
It's a good question. So I have a manager there, Marin, and my PA works there.
Yeah.
And they do the on the floor stuff, onboarding, etc. My business partner does the sales. And I don't do the training, but we'll basically consult with the trainers. We have an unusual client coming in.
Do you spearhead the London operation from here?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have an operation here in Dubai?
No, we don't.
Not yet.
The online stuff is through Dubai.
Through Dubai.
I'm doing a quotation mark through Dubai. Online obviously is tax-free here, so it'll be all through Dubai.
So you deliver online coaching, online programs?
Yes.
Talk to us about that. What does that involve?
So, good question. So with online clients, the truth is we're very honest with people that kind of on board, whether they need in-person personal training. I think a lot of people where they'll come to us and they're complete beginners and they're a complete mess. Sometimes
these are corporates, professionals?
Corporates, 99% of us are corporates. In fact, our gym is, unfortunately, they like to laugh about it. We have a lot of lawyers in our gym. That could be to the area.
Is that here in Dubai?
No, in London.
In London.
A lot of them online is going to corporate lawyers as well.
So the clients that you're working with online, are they from London or are they from Dubai or both?
Both. They can be from online, obviously can be anywhere. They're mainly from the UK. Some in Dubai. A lot of them actually moved here, funny enough.
And is it mainly men?
No, 50-50.
Okay.
It's 50-50 men and women. Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting you asked that because when we went through the numbers the other day, actually it's 50-50 men and women.
Okay. Let's explore that a little bit more, James. I loved having a male coach.
Yeah.
Because as a alpha female, I don't like soft coaches because I won't listen to them. I need someone saying, Nazia, this is how you do it. I need to respect that person. I need to be held accountable. Like, for example, when I lost my 10 kilos. Mm-hmm. So I hired a male coach and I'm really glad I did. Because all the female coaches that pitched to me, I was like, no. I literally walked all over them and they couldn't stand up to me. They couldn't say, no, Nazia, we are doing this. So, and I'm a strong personality. And I'm interested to know from you, given 50% of your clientele is females, and I'm assuming they're professionals.
Yeah, all of them are
serious players. Yeah. Do you think they respond better to male coaches?
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%. 99% of women I know, in fact, all women I know that are corporate lawyers and bankers want a male coach. Every single one of them, not one. So they might, if they know the woman and they go, unusually they might like that specific woman trainer, but 99% is men, want men. And the reason being is actually, the truth is women in general, or factually, are more neurotic.
Yeah.
They're more emotional and they want someone who's emotionless, is very down the line. And in general, men tend to be more firm and they tend to be less emotional. They don't bring their baggage into the gym.
And I think women who are top of the chain, senior players, they leave the emotions outside. They just want the results.
So, so other women, this is the truth. All women I know that are successful. Look, I had a mum growing up that's successful. She's a dentist, and be very blunt. She used to hate most women because, quite rightly, she goes, a lot of them. She goes, good women are better than good men. I actually agree with her. They're very driven, incredible in work ethic. I had a mum that was like incredible work ethic, cooked and cleaned, and I cooked for me, meal prep for me when I was, going to university. Had a dental practice and would scrub the house, right? So, and she was still feminine. Used to be, yeah. However, she goes, most women in general are a nightmare. And then she goes that most of them are. However, there's some top of the food chain women that are unusual. And those unusual women do not want to be trained by a woman. They just don't. My mum would have never wanted that. They don't want it.
Because they're exceptional in their roles. So they want no nonsense coaching. Yeah. Which men deliver.
Because men can be terrible as well. I mean, let's be honest. Many men that don't deliver good coaching.
I remember my coach, I complained about, oh God, this meal prep is going to take time and energy and this and that. And I went off on a tangent. One of my first objections with him, day 1 or day 2. And he said to me, Naz, he calls me Naz. Naz, how is that my problem? And I remember thinking, first I thought, oh, I didn't like that. I'm going to push back. And then when I thought about it the second time, I thought, he's so right. How is that his problem?
Do or don't. If you don't want to do it, then get results.
I have to get my head around, right? I need to get organized. I have a very busy schedule. I'm working. I have a senior role. This is my thing. This is on me, So now when I hear clients, before they become clients, saying, I don't have time to meal prep, I think, yes, you do. You could get up a little bit early. You could put half an hour into meal prep on Sundays.
So quick.
Get organized Monday, Tuesdays. Do another half an hour meal prep Wednesdays. You organize for the rest of the week. It really doesn't take that long to meal prep. But I think people overcomplicate things in their head.
They do, and women in general do. And the problem is, women like you who have sort of alpha female.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult for you. So I had a mum growing up like that. That's why I'm telling you only my experience of growing up. So my mum would have very little empathy for those kind of women. She'd be like, I don't understand. Because I'll ask questions about women, why are they doing like this? She goes, James, I can't answer that for you because I'm not wired that way. That's the problem.
I have to admit, my mum was hard. She was...
Immigrant mentality, right? It's tough.
She was brutal. She'd say, suck it up. And
immigrant, right? Immigrant mentality.
Yeah, she was one of the first immigrants in the UK. And she said, no crying. And don't ever say that you need your own space. You're not going into your room and shutting the door. No. She used to ban us from...
confront your problems.
No, she said it's overindulgence and I don't want you to...
I agree with her. It's indulging. It's deal with your problems. Like lapping it up kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, deal with it.
Yeah, so she was not soft around the edges. And I think sometimes I feel like it was the making of me because if she was soft and fluffy, maybe I wouldn't have ended up so headstrong. And sometimes I wish, maybe it would have been nice to have a little bit of softness. So, what can we do? Okay, so what next?
So we're looking to drive the gym in London, build the gym in London, and then would be to open up something hopefully in Dubai. Yeah. And in terms of personal stuff, bought my house here. The main thing I actually want to do in terms of my personal growth is I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a 3rd Dan black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm actually youngest British born black belt ever. Not now, obviously I'm 35 as of yesterday. Yeah. But when I got it, I was young. No, thank you very much. So I'm going to compete a lot in Jiu-Jitsu this year. I basically want to fight the world's Europeans this year, British, and also when I'm done with that, I want a medal at the Worlds, a black belt. After I'm done that, I want to fight MMA, professional MMA, for the next 4 to 5 years until I'm 40. Yeah. And that's a big personal goal for me. And that's just as important as in my business.
100%. So the business goal is to scale up London, to set up operation here.
Yes.
And that's the growth plan for the business.
Yes.
And there's an online version as well as physical training. Yes. You don't know how many clients you've got, but we'll cover that in another conversation. Okay, and the personal goal. Wow, is there a Mrs. James in life?
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is. She's great.
Mrs. Cooper?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. But she's doing great. So, yeah, she's very, very driven as well. She knows I was going to say not as driven.
Is she alpha female? I have to ask this.
No. I would if I had a...
Would you butt heads, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There needs to be someone soft. But she's hardworking, driven.
Yeah.
Very hardworking. One of the things, again, growing up with my mum, I don't like women that are lazy. I don't like women that are entitled.
Yeah.
Because I never had that growing up.
Yeah.
But they can still be kind and soft, but still be tough. I think you can. You can be both, right? You can be both.
I'm really soft with Ravi. I don't need to be tough with him, to be honest. He's alpha male. You know, he's a high performer. He's grounded me. In fact, he softened me in a good way, if that makes sense.
He allowed you to be soft because he's strong. Right?
He just lets me do what I want. And that's all I need, really, you know? Because I obviously have been raised in a very controlling environment.
Yeah.
And I just want to be free, you know? I want to do what I want to do in a good way.
And if your partner just allows that to happen, they also
he's too busy. You know, I remember him saying when we first moved in together, he said, my God, if you were one of those girlfriends that just called me at work all day or sent me long audios or asked me to book you an Uber, we would not be together.
Yeah, that's a big no-no for men like him.
And he was some days, a whole day will pass by, James, and I haven't messaged him or he hasn't messaged me. And then he'll get to 7 p.m. and he'll say, hey, babe, how's your day going? He'll check in or I'll do the same with him. We're not on top of each other. It's very much an interdependent relationship and exactly the way I like it. He doesn't breathe down my neck. I don't breathe down his neck.
Yeah, you help each other when you need to.
He does his thing, I do my thing. But you know what? I'm feminine and I've taken over some of my traits. I do the meal prep because I'm better in kitchen than he is. I don't trust him in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's the real reason, yeah.
Yeah, and I have OCD, you know. Yeah. To be honest, he's very tidy. So I do that. And I'm not one of those women that will say, you know what? I've made dinner, so you clear up the dishes. You don't even have to go in the dishwasher. I don't sweat the small stuff.
That's how a good relationship should be. It's not counting who's doing what.
No.
It's just helping each other anyway.
Yeah,
of course.
So you guys have the
exactly the same. I think that any healthy marriage, girlfriend, whatever it may be, boyfriend, the most important thing is you're not counting who's doing more. Yeah. When you start doing that, it's over. It's over. It's just help each other, whatever you can. It doesn't matter masculine and feminine roles. It literally is like you do whatever helps you. Say you have more time that period of the day, you help then. Or you have periods of the year, say where Ravi's working harder, or you're working harder, etc., and you just balance each other.
Yeah. So in terms of purpose, would you say your purpose is in the fitness business, in transforming your clients?
Yeah. So I want to get, the truth is I want to help as many people as I can to get into shape, feel physically strong, men and women both. I care about both.
Yeah.
Be physically strong and fit.
Well, clearly you have 50% of your client base is in the middle, right? Men
so I care about getting people fit and strong and healthy, as I know that will improve every single aspect of their life.
Yeah. I 100%
You're saying I love it. Literally, I love doing that. It's amazing watching people how it's changed their life. That when they get into shape, how every part of their life improves.
It's because when you're in the gym or a home workhouse, whatever, it's the discipline, the consistency, the routine, and how when your gym journey starts, you're scared of the big machines, and then you're smashing the big machines, and then you started at 10 kg, and suddenly you're lifting 40, 50.
It's amazing.
And the resilience that builds, that strength, emotional strength. People think, you're building physical strength, but actually the emotional strength that comes from lifting heavy weights.
You put work and you get something back, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's more than just a great body, For me, it's mind therapy, to be honest, more than anything else. I would be kidding if I said I didn't go to the gym and train my body for vanity reasons, because my mom has raised us to say you have to look good, you have to be well-groomed, you can't be overweight. She instilled these things within us when we were really young. And she would say, why have you put a few pounds on? And she would be so harsh, James. She would say, we're going to an Asian wedding. There's going to be hundreds of people there. I want my daughters to look like princesses and queens. I don't want anyone overweight. And she exercised portion control with us. And I'm so glad she did that.
You don't gorge.
We don't overeat, overindulge, eat beyond,
I think that's quite a Western culture thing. My mum is Japanese, so she used to be the same. She used to hate if you put weight on or she put weight on.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing,
same
overindulgence.
Culture. Yeah.
It's the same. It's very, very, it was very conservative, isn't it, basically?
My mum comes from a poor background, so the food was not overflowing, or wasted. And I think, that she brought that, she instilled that habit. Don't waste food, only serve yourself enough food. If you need to go back for more, go for a top up. Don't fill your plates. And I think it stayed with me.
Yeah, but probably in every single aspect, because your mum sounds like she was very precise in everything she did.
We called her Hitler, James.
But that's why it's good. You're taking the good parts of it, right? Your parents, you can only look. They do their best with what they have.
She did her best. Exactly. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't great at everything, but she was really great at some things. And those great elements and characteristics that I've taken on. Yeah.
And the bits that you don't like, go, oh.
I know when I find myself being OCD, I think, oh, I wish I didn't take this from my mom. But anyway, I'd rather be OCD than messy.
Definitely.
So any closing thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. Really, really enjoyed it. I hope the listeners enjoy it as well. And the most important thing for me, you have a very similar mindset for me. It's just basically, I think the biggest thing for me is taking personal responsibility, because shit things happen to everyone. And it's how you respond to them. And actually,
and you're proof of that.
Yeah.
You had 3 major things go wrong in life.
But they've made me happy. I'm not exaggerating, not just for the point of the podcast. Generally, I always think about this every single day. They made me much happier. I'm genuinely happy because those things happened to me.
Because they shaped your view on life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy because they happened. Literally shows you can get through things. Also shows that you need to take personal responsibility. And also a big thing for me is anyone I know that I've grown up with that has had a trust fund or had a huge amount of family wealth is tortured every single day. Every single one I know is absolutely miserable. You've had it, they're miserable, all of them. So I'm happy that these things happen to me. It's great.
I think when life happens and we go through these traumas, these losses, in my case, a major relationship breaking down, it wasn't the right relationship, losing my dad, I mean, it made me look at life differently.
It does, doesn't it? It makes you look at life differently. Yeah. It does.
And it made me think, there's more to life than working these long hours for a corporate. And I remember taking a sabbatical and traveling the world and going to Ibiza and partying. And whilst that was considered irresponsible by many, I found myself.
Yeah, you probably realised that's not what you want.
And because I wasn't allowed to go to Ibiza when I was young. I wasn't allowed to party. I wasn't allowed to leave the house or even go to the cinema with my friends. So in order for me to discover my purpose, I had to lose myself a little bit.
I realized that's not what you want. That makes you miserable. Doesn't make you happy. Yeah,
I was like, fun. Wow, nice car, designer clothes, living in Kensington is not making me happy. Yeah, but on paper, that looks really good.
It's the opposite, literally.
It's the opposite.
There's nothing wrong with nice things. Yeah. Everyone likes nice things, but when it's your whole put.
But the peace is the new wealth, I think. Health is wealth, they say, but peace, my God.
Same with relationships, same with your work, same with friends.
Yeah.
It really is a thing of peace.
Literally have the smaller circle. In my business network is big, but my best friends, I don't think I only have 1 or 2 friends in Dubai. I think I mentioned it earlier, right? And now I find that I don't have, I've lost the common things I had with my friends. I mean, some of my friends have been my friends for life and they will continue to be my friends for the rest of my life. But I find that there's not enough commonalities between us now.
Resonate with each other, right?
We don't resonate, So there was a time where I would happily talk about the nights they've been on, the dates they've been on, the hangovers, the one night stands. I would happily listen to that and repeat.
Yeah, that's great.
Now I'm just like, I don't want to listen to that.
When you're young, it's fine, but there's a point where you're just like...
It's like you're still living life on repeat and I moved on so far, I can't bring myself there,
Yeah.
But listen, I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think we've learned a lot from you on when the absolute worst can happen and you were faced with 3 big things: marriage breakdown, best friend dying from an accidental overdose, and your mum being diagnosed with cancer. If you can come back from that, my God, anybody can.
They can. They really, really can. And I think that generally people also, another thing is people are stronger than they think they are. Until they're in that situation, they'll realize
you are tested, right? Yeah. And the only choice is to come back up.
Exactly.
Well, there's lots of choices, but you can
go down a bad path as well.
You can go on a
bad path as well. Exactly.
Thank you, James, for joining us today. Really pleasure having you here. And I think we wish you all the best in your scale up journey in the business. And we'll love to have you back at some point.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Transformation Lab DXB podcast, powered by Gym Nation. Remember, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Your transformation starts today. See you next time. I'm your host, Nazia Khan.